Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into a really powerful framework for understanding happiness and what it means to live a meaningful life. It comes from Rabbi Noah Weinberg, and for a lot of people, this model has totally changed how they see everything. So, let's just start with a question we all ask ourselves, right? What actually brings you real, lasting joy? We're all chasing after things we think will make us happy, but are we chasing the right stuff? You know, the answer isn't always so simple. And that's really the key to this whole thing. This isn't just some theory you memorize for a test. It's a tool for life. It's something you have to actually practice and feel to get it. Kind of like riding a bike. I mean, you can't learn balance from a book. You have to get on and feel it for yourself. Okay, so let's get into it. So, the model lays out pleasure as a pyramid with 5 distinct levels. Think of them like floors in a building, where each level up gives you a deeper, more lasting, and way more meaningful kind of pleasure than the one below it. All right, level 1. This is the ground floor, the most obvious one. We're talking about a fantastic meal, a comfy home, an amazing vacation, the newest phone. And look, it's a real pleasure, no doubt about it. But it's also limited. I mean, as the source material puts it, how long can you really just sit on a beach in Hawaii and do nothing? A week? Maybe a month? Eventually you get bored. You just can't eat ice cream forever. Level 2 is where things get a lot more interesting. This is the joy you get from investing yourself in something that matters to you. The classic example is raising a child, of course, but it could also be building a business from scratch, or training for a marathon, or finally learning that guitar solo. You see parents give up level 1 pleasures for their kids all the time without a second thought. That right there shows you this level is way more powerful. It's that feeling of a good struggle, like at the gym, where the effort itself is what feels so satisfying. Now we get to level 3. Being good. This is all about making a contribution, about leaving the world a little better than you found it. It's that profound feeling a firefighter gets from saving a life, or what you feel when you volunteer for a cause that you truly believe in. This kind of pleasure is so intense, so powerful, that people will risk everything for it, even their personal projects and the family they love back at level 2. It's the joy of knowing you are a force for good in the world. Level 4 is the pleasure of control. And this is where it gets really fascinating, because it has 2 totally different sides to it. On the one hand, you've got this dark, corrupted desire for control, tyranny, domination, wanting to have power over other people. But then, on the other hand, there's this corrected, enlightened version of control, the pursuit of self-mastery, the discipline to control your own actions, your emotions, and your thoughts. But there's a catch with level 4, even the good kind of control. No matter how much mastery we get over a skill or over ourselves, we are all subject to forces we can't control. And the ultimate one, as the source points out, is death. That's the one thing that controls us all. Now, that realization doesn't have to be a downer. In fact, it can lead to a kind of humility that pushes us up to the final highest level of pleasure. And that brings us to the very peak of the pyramid, level 5. This is the simple yet absolutely profound joy of just being alive. It's taking a moment to appreciate the incredible fact of your own existence. And according to this model, the highest expression of this joy is a connection to something much, much larger than yourself, a sense of purpose, of being a part of a grand story. The source identifies this with things like prayer and a connection to God. So, there you have it, the pyramid, building up from the physical all the way to the spiritual. But now we get to a really fascinating twist on this whole model, one that comes from a Haredi Jewish worldview. And it asks this very provocative question: what if our modern default way of living has us building the whole pyramid upside down? Okay, this table really just nails the core idea. The default modern view, it's often to build a life with a super wide base of material pleasure. More stuff, bigger houses, more experiences. But the spiritual approach, it flips that completely. It suggests that a truly meaningful life is built on a narrow, just enough base of physical things, which then allows for a massive expansion upwards into those higher levels of pleasure. So the first step in this alternative blueprint is to consciously make that base of physical pleasure smaller. Now, this isn't about eliminating it. Your body needs what it needs, but it's about keeping it in its proper place as a support system, not the main event. The whole point is to create more space, more energy, and more focus for the stuff that brings that deeper, more lasting fulfillment. Okay, let's jump back up to level 4 for a second and see how this new model works. In the inverted pyramid, the whole idea of control gets a radical makeover. It's not about ruling an empire out there or piling up wealth. It's about ruling the empire within you, achieving that deep self-discipline over your thoughts, your words, and your actions. And, getting that kind of self-mastery, it's not just some vague, nice idea. It's a practice, and it's backed by a massive body of wisdom. This number here, over 126,000, that's the number of texts in just one digital library. And these aren't just books you read. As the source says, they're more like manuals for execution. They're toolkits for how to master every single part of life, from your finances to your relationships to your own inner peace. So what's the goal of all this? By deliberately shrinking that material base and focusing on mastering yourself, this spiritual model aims to make the highest pleasure, that deep, stable joy of connection and just being alive, the dominant everyday experience of your life. It stops being a rare, fleeting moment at the tiny top of a peak and becomes the broad foundation of your existence. And this is really important, this is not about rejecting the physical world. Not at all. The source actually explains that our physical drives are seen as very good because they're the engine that fuels life. Without desire, nobody would eat or build things or have families. The goal is to integrate the two, to use the physical as a solid foundation for a spiritual life. And when you take the physical pyramid pointing up and you overlay it with the spiritual pyramid pointing down, you get this incredibly powerful symbol of balance and harmony. It represents the mind guiding the heart, the spiritual giving meaning to the physical, and the physical giving energy to the spiritual. It's the symbol of a complete, integrated human being. Which, of course, brings us all the way back to you. This whole model is a tool. It's that experiential bicycle we talked about at the very beginning. So the real thing to take away from all this is a question to ask yourself: what is the shape of your pursuit of happiness? Is your base wide or is it narrow? And maybe more importantly, which direction is it expanding?